Hey there, YouTubers. This is Kevin from the Survivor Super Fun Time Show. Awesome episode of Survivor 48, episode 5. This is a big one. This is probably one of the first episodes I can think of in, a good little while, where the biggest thing that happened in the episode, and maybe not even the second biggest thing that happened in the episode, had nothing to do with people getting voted out of the game. It's rare that that occurs, but probably my two favorite moments are completely independent of that. And we're going to talk about those things in a hot second, particularly the Eva and Joe moment. Everyone's talking about it. We know why, because it's lovely, it's great, but we'll get into that in a second. But first, remember to hit the subscribe button to be a member of this channel so that you can continue to see more video updates as I continue to make more videos, and we'll probably have some more Castaway interviews and recaps and stuff as the merge comes, which it looks like it's coming very soon. Going to be very exciting. All right, getting into the episode, some of the biggest things that happen. I mean, obviously, we'll kind of speed through some of the less interesting things. Like, for example, we had the beginning episode, which is really the fallout of Thomas being voted out, which is still a shame. My heart hurts. I love Thomas. Thomas was great. Thought he would last a lot longer as part of the California Girls Alliance. Sadly, they did not work out. The fallout, it seems like it helped create an interesting new dynamic at the new Vula Beach, which we'll get into in a hot second. But we really get to dive into the reward challenge right away, where the tribes have the chance to win like a bunch of fruit and go to the sanctuary, which who gives a shit? It's really just about the food at that point. They get to have that moment where the Loggy tribe is the #1 winning tribe, which is awesome, and then New Vula wins, which is great. And apparently Ciba, shocker, Say's gonna have a problem with something. Say basically is like, yeah, y'all were not humble in your victory, Loggy. And Mary's on that tribe, so Mary catches another stray from Say. It's like you can't stop. A stray Say, or a Say stray, is just constant in the game of Survivor for Mary. And it's unfortunate because they're going to probably do the enemies to lovers kind of storyline, which I'm excited for. As much as I'm going to dog Say in this game, I can't help it because it seems like she's erratic in her gameplay. I mean, she's smart. She knows what she's doing, but sometimes she just probably talks a little more than she probably should. And that's something that's transcended into Twitter as the show is airing. And another reason why I love Say is because she doesn't stop. She says everything she wants to. She says. And, Loggy, while they're at the sanctuary talking and eating croissants and gobbling up coffee and milk, and David's doing his best Homelander impression of drinking as much milk as humanly possible. Again, David gets highlighted in this episode. Is this guy going to last forever? Or are the editors just obsessed with David? I don't know. I still can't figure out his end game. But beside the point. They talk about it. Mary's like, I don't know. I was excited for the reward because I've never won one, Say. You should know that. So yeah, it was just sour grapes from Say. I mean, what can you say, Say? And speaking of Say, at Ciba camp, actually, there was a little spat that was kind of funny between Chrissy and Say, because at the reward challenge, Say actually sat out because she said that she had participated in every challenge up to that point and she was tired and she needed to rest. Where Chrissy backhanded was like, well, so have I. But I am a little bit in Say's corner about this. The reason why I'm in her corner is, yes, Chrissy competed in those challenges too, but at the same time, I mean, Chrissy was like winning all those challenges. Say was used to getting stomped in every challenge, so the mental toll and the physical toll is probably a little bit different than what Chrissy had to endure. But regardless, they all participated, whatever. No one has the right to sit out. But Vula Beach, where they're able to munch on some croissants, not as much as the Loggy tribe, the sanctuary, of course, and they got to break bread and they got to talk about their backgrounds. Kyle, Shaheen, Joe, and Camilla, they all talked about their parents, how they ended up becoming who they are. And it was really touching stuff, because like Shaheen's parents, like pilots and stuff. Joe basically let it be known that he's biracial, which, by the way, Twitter was really weird about that, and Reddit. They're like, wait, Joe's not Latino? And it was very interesting because we got into a colorism discussion, which I thought was very fascinating to see unfold, where people were just like assuming a race for Joe without knowing anything about him. So that was really eye-opening in a way for me as someone who is a creator and pays attention to the fandom and the conversation. Really exciting there. And Camilla, of course, talked about her parents, the background, and same thing with Kyle. And it was a really interesting bonding moment because by the end, it sounded like instead of being like a Ciba versus Loggy situation, now they're like, how about we're all 4 incredible people? Let's mix together when the merge comes. And I'm really excited to see if that happens. Of course, initially, we're like, well, that depends if you all don't lose the immunity challenge, because you may have to go to Tribal Council and vote for one another and be in a 2-2 lock. Thankfully, not the case. Immunity challenge comes around, and in fact, actually, the Vula tribe does incredible. Camilla ends up locking it with incredible reaction like she always does. Vula tribe is safe. And then it becomes a battle between Ciba and Lagi. And the big story here is Lagi is struggling, mainly because Eva is struggling. And Eva is having a moment that I think a lot of people, including myself, predicted, that the big emotional moment was going to be Eva, who struggles with some issues with autism. When it gets to this point where like all things are on the line, she's getting frustrated and things are starting to get away from her, she's going to basically have a little bit of an episode. And in that moment, we're like, oh God, Eva's going to blow it. And then everyone's going to have to comfort her. The big surprise for me was she didn't blow it. She actually got it. She won. She beat Ciba. And in that moment of victory, she was just over hyperventilating basically. And while her tribe was trying to comfort her and say she was fine, you see these beautiful shots of like Joe and Shaheen and stuff off in the distance staring at her with such concern. Joe in particular, of course. And at one point, Jeffrey Probst was eyeing her down and said, Joe, how about you get over there and give her a hug? And he does that because, as we know, Eva had told Joe very early on in the game, episode 1 or 2, when they decided to be an alliance, that when she has these moments as an autistic person, grabbing her hands is key in order to bring her down. I'm not making a joke of it, obviously, but the comparison I made right away was anyone who's seen the Avengers 2, when the Incredible Hulk is hulking and they need to bring back down to Bruce Banner, the Black Widow would say, hey, big guy, sun's getting real low, and touch him with his hand, and then the Hulk would come down to Bruce Banner. And essentially what Joe did with Eva is bring out Bruce Banner from Eva. And I thought that was really, really beautiful. Not only for the Eva side of things, but because Joseph, is a wonderful fellow. I think he proved so far everything I expected from him in preseason. I expected him to be an awesome player. I think he has a great chance to win this game. And him doing that in front of everyone and telling his story, along with Eva eventually telling her story, where she essentially outed that she was autistic and why that's important, was really, really heartwarming. The one thing I do not appreciate from that situation, though, keeping it real while being Super Fun Time Show, Jeffrey Probst was so full of shit. He was so full of shit the entire time. It actually hurt me at different points. I'm just like, Jeff, shut up. Stop making this about you. Joe and Eva are the story. You didn't really have to do anything. I mean, you telling Joe to go give him a hug, I guess, but you didn't need to edit that into the show. You could have just let Joe go in, and that would have been fine. But instead, you said, Joe, why don't you give her a hug? And then after that, you got the tribes together once Eva was calmed down. You decided to let everyone know, again, on the show, on camera, and said, I thought it would be okay, and I think everyone else thought it'd be okay if I let Joe go over there. Is it in the rules like he says? I don't really know. Honestly, I don't know that answer. I feel like I've seen other seasons where they shook hands and slapped each other on the back and said, what's up? I mean, that's how JT gave his idol to Russell Hantz in Heroes vs. Villains with the infamous notes. It's because after challenge, they got to say, what's up, and, good job, and all that kind of stuff. I do not like when Jeff makes the game about himself. It drives me nuts. He never used to do it. And now I have this wonderful, beautiful Joe and Eva moment where I think it's one of the sweetest things I've ever seen in the history of the game. But Jeff needed everyone to know it affected him more than maybe anyone else. And it's so good that he made it happen. Jeffrey Probst is executive producer. He put on his executive producer little hat and said, this is going to be good TV. So whenever he does this thing where like, it just got to me so much. You are a TV man through and through, and you knew it was good TV. I don't know. It drives me nuts. It drives me nuts. I hate that I do this. I hate that I dunk on Jeff Probst. I know I'll never be on the show now, but that's okay. Sometimes Jeff is infuriating for me, and especially with some of the stuff going on with season 50, drives me nuts. It feels like I'm always being sold a bill of goods, and I don't like it. But anyway, moral of the story, the Joe and Eva moment was so touching and so heartwarming, and I loved it so much. I mean, Joe was so sweet to Eva in that moment, and Eva received it. If there's such thing as Survivor fan fiction, people are going to be writing so many things, those perverts, because the Joe and Eva connection in that moment, although it was more like a father-daughter type situation, there's going to be people that are going to run with that. I'm sure uteruses were exploding all over North America when they saw this episode, and Joe looked into Eva's eyes and said, "Keep it right here. You're good." And I was just like, man, I know this is not weird, but some people are going to take it that way. There's a lot of shady corners of the internet. And to add to Loggy's good luck is, actually they go back to camp and they have a big powwow. Like this Eva moment where she talks about her autism with everyone and is very open, that actually created a window for the rest of Loggy, to the point where Star felt comfortable to actually tell them, hey, I do have the Beware advantage, and I've been looking for it, and I haven't found it. So Eva now has it confirmed, although she already knew. Everyone at Olagi already told her. But they decide to go out and look for the idol together in harmony, and they find it. Eva's actually the one who cracks open the cryptex, and Star says, you know what? It's your idol. And Star gives the idol to Eva. So the good news is, one, Star has her vote back. So that's huge right there. And two, there's a bridge that is formed between Eva and Star, whereas they were not. And three, I think it was brilliant from Star. I mean, now Eva has the idol. She has the target on her back. Star gives it away. Why would anyone vote out Star now? When she had the idol and people would have known? Yeah, absolutely vote out Star. Now, though, it's Eva's pocket. And now she's buddies with the person that has the idol. It is so much better to be buddies with the person that possesses the idol than the person who actually has the idol publicly. Unless your name is Cody Assenmacher. Doesn't always work out. So Star is somebody who has not gotten a favorable edit up to this point, but based on that, I love that for Star. Star showed that she is a wonderful, kind person as well, and whether she did it on purpose or not, brilliant move by Star. I think it's going to work out better for her, even though I'm not certain she wins the game or anything. I think it will be better. Outside of that, really the big issue now is the Ciba Tribe. The Ciba Tribe doesn't really like Say very much, which, I mean, tale as old as time at this point. Mitch has an issue. Chrissy has an issue. Cedrek sort of has an issue, but not really. Bianca has an issue, but Bianca doesn't have a vote. We get rid of Say. Should we get rid of Bianca? Because she's the one old Loggy. But because Thomas went, getting rid of a Loggy isn't quite as important as it used to be, especially for the Ciba Tribe, who ideally would like to go to the merge with all their people, if they possibly can. And there's interesting back and forth where they're like, okay, so it's probably going to be Chrissy or Say are going to be the votes, right? Because Cedrek basically said, I'm going to vote with Say to vote out Chrissy. And then meanwhile, Mitch and Chrissy are probably going to vote for Say. And Bianca is the one in the middle, but she doesn't have a vote. And she kept that quiet until the last moment. She decided to tell Cedrek that she doesn't have a vote. She didn't want it to go haywire, and she wanted to be honest with the people she wanted to move forward with. And just like the fudging kiss of death, Cedrek is actually the one who blew it for her in the end. They go to tribal council, and she catches 2 votes. Bianca catches 2 votes out of the 4, with the other one being Chrissy and Say, which means Bianca gets the majority of the votes, and it's from Cedrek and Chrissy. That means Cedrek, again, is responsible for the person who didn't have a vote get voted out of the game. And this also implies that Chrissy was told by Cedrek, otherwise she would have no reason to cast that vote. So Cedrek, the grim fucking reaper of people who don't have votes, once again does it. Whether you tell Cedrek about your lost vote, you get voted out. Whether you don't tell Cedrek about your vote, you get voted out. It doesn't matter. If you lose your vote, you're going home in Cedrik's book. It really is one of my most interesting and fun phenomena that I could think of. I mean, Cedrek, I thought he was going to be a giant nothing burger. And I think he's mostly stumbled through the game up to this point, making these moves. But, I mean, it's impressive to think that, I think on Vula Beach, he voted for every single member of the Vula tribe. And now, he's still making moves by getting rid of people like Bianca without anyone knowing. It's fascinating. Oh my God. Cedrek is fallen into one of the most interesting pre-merge players ever. But my poor little heart breaks for Bianca. I love the Jersey girl. I was hoping she would get some more time in the game. Unfortunately, based on the edit, I kind of thought she probably wouldn't. But it's sad. She had a really sad exit. While she's walking to get her torch, she's sad and she's brokenhearted. Instead, they're showing Chrissy saying did you know she didn't have a vote? Did you know? Or Say going I didn't know she had a vote. Why didn't she have a vote? Bianca's crying in the background but still they're strategizing. So she wasn't really getting the exit that I thought she would. But regardless, very sad for Bianca, my Settlers of Catan friend playing person. I hope only the best for you, and I hope you're taking it all in stride, because Cedrek boned you. But I can't let it be lost that even though I'm like saying negative things about Say and kind of being erratic and all that stuff, I love Say. Say is awesome. I don't want Say to go anywhere in this game for a long time. I want Say to hook up with Mary and them to do really fun stuff. Because so many of my favorite players are making it to the merge, which is kind of how seasons are edited, so it's not a big surprise. But still, I'm very, very excited to see how this shapes up, considering next week it looks like they're dropping their buffs and they may be playing together at the merge. I'm ready to see those blue and pink buffs, baby. I can't wait. But that's going to do it for the recap portion. I'm going to have another video, or a couple videos, I'm not sure, talking about Survivor 50. Anyway, I'll talk about Survivor 50 later on, but for the sake of this recap video, that's going to do it. Again, hit the subscribe button so you can see more video content about Survivor moving forward. And that's pretty much it. Hope you have an absolutely amazing day, everyone. You take care. Goodbye.